USA, Taiwan, Kazakhstan,
It's a true nightmare that's happened for the first time in my whole life.
Bulgaria,
It was as if a bomb had fallen.
Italy,
Who could have known that the water would rush in so fast? We lost everything.
Pakistan, Spain, China, Germany. Storms and hurricanes. Category 4 Hurricane Ian was the deadliest hurricane to hit Florida residents in the United States. Some cities were 90% destroyed by the storm surge, furious winds, and flooding. More than 1.5 million people had to leave their homes. According to preliminary estimates, the damage will exceed $100 billion. Passing Puerto Rico, Hurricane Fiona left several million people without electricity and drinking water. And this was at a time when it was unbearably hot and humid on the island. Fiona is the first Category 4 hurricane in history to move this far north. It reached eastern Canada, maintaining the strength of a Category 2 hurricane, and left an unprecedented path of destruction in the country. In recent years, tropical storms have begun to move further north and south from the equator. The world's megacities such as New York, Boston, Beijing, and Tokyo could soon be under their attack. Typhoon Noru was predicted to hit the Philippines as the equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane, but in just 6 hours there was an explosive intensification to a Category 5 super typhoon, with wind gusts reaching 196 miles per hour. People did not have time to prepare for the impact of the natural disaster of such force. More than 900,000 people were affected, while the damage to agriculture exceeded 52 million. On the island of Corsica, France, the wind reached a speed of 224 kilometers per hour. During the storm, the fierce winds tore down power lines and trees were falling down like matchsticks. In Europe alone, the average annual number of storms has increased by almost 16.5 times since 2000. In the United States, the number of convective storms, the damage of which exceeds $1 billion, is growing unprecedentedly. Between 2000 and 2010, there were 34 of them, and in the next 11 years, there were already 95. In the southern hemisphere, storm intensification over recent decades has already reached levels projected to occur in the year 2080. Abnormal precipitation and flooding. The amount of abnormal rainfall is increasing all over the world. During 9.5 months of 2022, more than 36,000 daily precipitation records were registered on the planet. The province of Ancona, Italy, was hit by half a year worth of rain overnight. Never before in their lives have the residents seen such a rapid rise of water, almost 1 meter in 10 minutes. Australia has been hit by 3 waves of historic floods in 2022. Brisbane was hit by a rain bomb when more than a month's worth of rain fell daily for 3 consecutive days. Given such frequency and intensity of flooding, it makes no sense to rebuild some cities. On the eastern coast of South Africa, almost a year's worth of rain fell within 24 hours, resulting in one of the deadliest floods of the 21st century in the country. Seoul, South Korea, was hit by record downpours in August 2022. Water rushed rapidly into all the underground and semi-basement rooms. Subways, crosswalks, parking lots, and even apartments turned into death traps. People died from flooding right in their homes. In Colombia, the number of floods increased by 87% in just 1 year. Back in 2020, there were 428 of them, and in the next year, already 802. Meanwhile, in several municipalities in the Department of Sucre, the flooding has been lasting for more than a year. Just 60 years ago, there were 8 major floods per year in the world, and by 2021, this number has increased by 27 times. Besides, they began to occur simultaneously, covering several countries at once. In the summer of 2022 alone, floods occurred in at least 120 countries on all continents. The monsoon season of 2022 turned into the biggest climate disaster in modern history of Pakistan. 1/3 of the country's provinces went underwater. More than 1,600 people have been killed and 33 million people have been affected by the disaster. Half of them are children. Over 2 million houses have been destroyed. Elderly people, pregnant women, and children are forced to live outdoors in inhumane conditions. There is a lack of food, drinking water, and medical care. Contaminated water has become a source of infections. People are left without jobs, shelter, and means of livelihood. After almost 2 months, the water is still not gone. The nightmare for people continues to this day and will only get worse. Extreme heat and droughts. During the 9 months of 2022, there have been over 100,000 highest temperature records across the globe. In China, for the first time in world history, a heat wave reached 113 degrees Fahrenheit and lasted 79 days in a row. More than 900 million people were affected by the extreme temperatures. Bomb shelters were opened to people as a relief from the unbearable heat. To save their crops, farmers worked at night as the soil heated up to 60 degrees Celsius during the day. The summer, Europe experienced its hottest summer on record. In the UK, temperatures in July exceeded 40 degrees Celsius for the first time in history. In France, a prolonged heat wave caused the water in rivers to get so hot that it became unsuitable for cooling nuclear reactors in nuclear power plants. A similar thing happened in the Persian Gulf. Heat kills people. In the European Union, the deaths of 53,000 people in July are directly attributed to the unprecedented heat wave. Severe droughts have hit the major economies of the Northern Hemisphere this year, with damages of $13.2 billion in the first half of 2022 alone. In China, the USA, India, Australia, Europe, and other regions, rivers and reservoirs have sharply shallowed and navigation has come to a virtual standstill. This has also exacerbated the energy crisis and has become another factor in the soaring of electricity prices. The drought has caused irreparable damage to agriculture, leading to an unprecedented rise in food prices. In the USA, the price of livestock feed increased by 90%. The water crisis has reached a record scale. Access to safe drinking water is under threat. No country, even an economically developed one, is immune to this problem. This year, over 2 billion people on our planet are already facing water shortages. Wildfires. In 2022, Alaska, USA, is experiencing the largest wildfire season in its history. 50 years ago, there were no such things as megafires. They cover huge areas and require enormous resources to keep them down. As of early October 2022, there have already been 16 megafires in the USA alone, and many more are approaching that scale. In South Korea, a megafire approached a nuclear power plant in March 2022. 18,000 people and dozens of helicopters were mobilized to extinguish it. In Russia, there has been a sharp increase in the area of wildfires in the last 5 years. There has even been an increase in fires that burn under the snow in winter. In 2022, natural fires in Europe exceeded 770,000 hectares for the first time since satellite measurements became available. This is more than the size of the Canary Islands and 3 times more than the average burn-up in a year. And in some countries, the increase in wildfires has been really shocking. In the Czech Republic, an average of 9 hectares of land is burnt annually. However, by the end of September this year, the fire had already destroyed almost 1,500 hectares. This is 158 times more than usual. At the beginning of September this year in Brazil, there were a record number of fires in the country on 3 consecutive days, more than 3,000 per day. Wildfires are not seasonal anymore. Now they don't stop even in winter, and hurricane winds spread the fire at breakneck speed. In the Algerian province of El Taref, winds of over 55 miles per hour caused the flames to spread in a matter of minutes, leaving no chance for people to escape. Fires are occurring in places where they have almost never been before. Central Europe, the rainforests of South America, and even the Arctic are burning. Today, single cataclysms already occur very rarely. There goes an entire cascade of disasters, one involving the other. And this interconnection intensifies the devastation and takes more and more human lives. Even economically developed countries cannot restore their climatically ravaged territories for years. More and more regions are becoming uninhabitable. What was predicted for the year 2100 is already happening right before our eyes today. In 2022, there has been an unprecedented leap in the power and the amount of natural disasters, and judging by the progression, they will continue to increase at record speed. In order for humankind to survive, urgent, extraordinary action is needed. Meanwhile, we have very little time left.